What's good, guys? We just finished UFC 302. Dustin Poirier gets submitted in the 5th round by Islam Makhachev. Puts up a pretty good fight. Some people had it 2-2 going into the 5th round. Some people had it 3-1 going into the 5th round. Two judges on the scorecards had it 3-1 going into the 5th round. So some can argue that Islam could have still won by decision, but I thought that Dustin put up a great, amazing fight, and it was an amazing pay-per-view. Mostly every fight went to decision. There was no knockout except for submissions. Jailton Almeida, Kevin Holland. I went 10-2 yesterday. I got Alex Moreno and Dustin Poirier wrong, but we did amazing. Won like $20, not that much, but we did great on the picks. We did great on the breakdowns. Islam Makhachev had some lazy double leg takedowns. His inside trips were working at the beginning. But what I tell you guys, I told you he was going to make it out the 3rd round. Over 1.5 hit. And we did pretty good. It's actually amazing how many people thought that Islam was just going to manhandle this guy. And it's crazy how so many people compare Islam and Khabib when they're two completely different fighters. One's a mauler and one is like a technician, you know. Islam is a very technical striker, and he's always exciting. He's been in a bunch of wars, and I'm just excited to see what's next for him. I think he should either fight Arman Tsarukyan or the winner of Leon Edwards versus Leon Edwards versus Bilal, the winner of that. But we're gonna get to it. We're gonna talk about UFC Fight Night, Jared Cannonier versus Nassourdine Imavov. This is gonna be a great fight. We're gonna be talking about the whole prelims. And we're going to be talking about the early prelims ending with the main event of the evening. So this card is in Louisville, so it's not an Apex. So we have to keep that in mind, but it is a fight night. So without further ado, Andrea Lee versus Montella de la Rosa. Guys, we have both of these girls who are on a little bit of the tail end of their careers than they are at the beginning. Andrea Lee has lost her last 4 out of her last 5 to Viviane Araújo, Macy Barber, Natalia Silva, and Miranda Maverick, who is fighting Tracy Cortez this month as well. And speaking of fights that got messed around, we have breaking news. Ikram Aliskerov is going to be fighting Antonio Trócoli after Andre Muniz pulled out. So I'm pretty sure Ikram Aliskerov is still on this card, and he's going to be fighting Antonio Trócoli from Dana White Contender Series. So give me Ikram Aliskerov to win. I think he wins this in easier fashion than he would have against Andre Muniz. So somebody had to step up, so I feel bad, but we'll see how this card goes. I hope they add that fight, and it should be confirmed. Montella de la Rosa with a record of 12-9-1. She's lost her last 3 out of her last 5. She has 1 draw to Myron Bueno Silva. And Andrea Lee has a record of 13-9-0. When we look at both of these fighters, 35 years old for Andrea Lee, 29 years old for Montella de la Rosa, flyweight division 5'6", 5'7", 69 inch reach to 68. Tapology has Montella de la Rosa to win. Definitely hit the over 2.5. I have the odds for this fight right here. Just let me look for it. Right here. Andrea Lee is the favorite at a -124. Montella de la Rosa is a -102, so we're going to be looking at this fight. A lot of people have Montella de la Rosa, but I think Andrea Lee is going to win this fight. I think she's fought in tougher competition. I know Myra Bueno Silva is pretty good. Ariana Lipsky is good. Macy Barber, they both fought. Tatiana Suarez, JJ Aldridge. Other than JJ Aldridge, her competition has been pretty good. Guys, I'm going to go with the younger fighter. I'm going to go with Montella de la Rosa. I know Andrea Lee has fought Silva. She's put up great fights against Miranda Maverick, Natalia Silva, Macy Barber, Viviane Araújo. You know what? This is going to be crazy, man. How far apart? Give me Andrea Lee. Give me Andrea Lee to win this by unanimous decision. 29-28. Very low confident pick. But just because Montella de la Rosa is she's inconsistent, and I think that Andrea Lee put up a greater fight against Macy Barber than Montella de la Rosa, if we're gonna be honest. And Andrea Lee, she seems like she's still in this for her. You know, she's not in this for just a paycheck. Next fight we got Daniel Marcos versus John Castañeda. Daniel Marcos has a record of 15-0, undefeated. Has won his last 4 out of his last 5. No contest to Arichi Lang, unintentional groin strike. And against John Castañeda, he's Sexy Mexi. He's 21-6-0. He's lost 1 out of his last 5 to Daniel Santos, but he's won his last 4 to Eddie Wineland, Miles Johns, Moon Gusrov, and Kyung Hoi Kang. Peru versus United States, 31-32. 135 to 137, 5'7" to 5'7", 6'9" to 71-inch reach. A lot of people have Marcos for the win. I think this goes distance, and I'm definitely going the over 1.5. Give me the undefeated fighter. Give me Marcos, Daniel Marcos, to be on the outside, have excellent footwork, excellent boxing. The only thing is, he has a little bit of a wider stance. I don't know if Arichi Lang, he definitely, it didn't look like the groin strike was on purpose, but it was unintentional. But the reason why it was able to hit was because the way Daniel Marcos enters and the way he exits. He doesn't exit. He enters with a wide stance is what I'm trying to say, so it's easier for him to get more susceptible to kicks, to leg kicks. Sexy Mekisi is pretty good, but I think Daniel Marcos Moreno should win this in the bantamweight division. Bantamweight is stacked, and when it comes to bantamweight, you need a guy who could go full 15-minute without gassing. And I think his gym is pretty good too. Los Perros Sarnoros. I think they're pretty good. I think that's a pretty good gym. I've heard pretty good stuff from him. So give me Daniel Marcos to win this by unanimous decision, 29-28. Next fight, we got Charles Radtke versus Carlos Prates. We look at this fight, guys. Two fighters that are going to be here to fight. This is my most anticipated fight besides the main event. This fight is going to be a banger. Charles Radtke is a guy who's 9-3 for his record, and Carlos Prates has a record of 18-6-0. Charles Radtke has won his last 5. So has Carlos Prates. Carlos Prates is making he's fought in the UFC. He's made his UFC debut successful against Trevin Giles, and now he's making his second fight in the UFC. He came from Dana White Contender Series to Mitch Ramirez KO straight left, and prior to that he beat Eduardo Ramon in LFA. When we look at Charles Radtke's record, this is going to be his 3rd fight in the UFC. So when we look at both of them, Gilbert Urbina, he KO'd him 3 months ago. So he's pretty active. Very, very active, Charles Radtke. Charles Radtke is very good when it comes to this. 33 years old, welterweight division, 5'9" to 6'1", 72-inch reach to 78. Carlos Prates is going to be the longer fighter, and a lot of people are going to be favoring him to win. He's number 50 in the world versus number 75. Give me Charles Radtke to win this by KO. I know this is going to be a little crazy, and it's going to be a little bit of a Hail Mary, but somebody's going to get knocked out this fight. Whether it's Charles Radtke or Carlos Prates, somebody's going to get knocked out this fight. And majority of Tapology has Prates to win by decision. When we look at the odds, I know I didn't break down the odds for the other fight with Marcos, so we can go over them really quick. Daniel Marcos versus Caseta John, it's almost even. And then when we look at the fight that we were just breaking down, Charles Radtke plus 155 and Pratos Carlos is a minus 200. It's just because Charles Radtke is a little bit. I mean, they both beat Trevin Giles, which is actually kind of. Gilbert Urbina, they both fought 3 months ago. Mitch Ramirez, it's crazy, but I'm gonna go Charles Radtke, Buffalo, just by give me by KO. I think somebody gets knocked out this fight. And I hope Charles Radtke can mix it up, and I hope he just doesn't let himself get knocked out, and he puts up a good performance. So give me Charles Radtke to win this by KO, 2nd round. Next fight, we got Thiago Moisés versus Ľudovít Klein. These are the early predictions. So Friday, I do my last-minute predictions, and there's going to be a little bit of pick flip. There'll be like 1 or 2 pick flips. And then we get into the fights on Saturday. Thiago Moisés versus Ľudovít Klein. Thiago Moisés with a record of 18-7-0. He's lost 2 out of his last 5 to Joel Alvarez and Benoit Saint-Denis. No shame in that. Benoit Saint-Denis is a beast. He put up a pretty good fight in Paris against Benoit Saint-Denis. Ľudovít Klein has 1 draw on his record to Jai Herbert. And his last win was against Thiago Moisés' last win was against Mitch Ramirez just previously by kicks as well. Brazil versus Slavka Republic. 29 years old to 29, 155 lightweight division, 5'9" and 5'7", 70-inch reach to 72. Guys, I love Thiago Moisés. I love his kicks. I love everything about him. I think this fight goes the distance, but I think Ľudovít Klein is going to take it just because Ľudovít Klein had a match earlier, matched up with someone else, and then they pulled out, and I favored Ľudovít Klein to win that fight. But I'm still going to be favoring him, even though it's against Thiago Moisés, and Thiago Moisés is a beast. When it comes to people like Benoit Saint-Denis, when it comes to people like Joel Alvarez, he always puts up a good fight. When it comes to Islam Makhachev, he puts up a good fight. He has a pretty good record. But I think that if you overwhelm Thiago Moisés, sometimes he ends up not breaking, but he ends up leaving himself open to more shots, and then ends up losing a decision or loses by towards the end by finish. Give me Ľudovít Klein to win this by decision, 29-28. I think this is going to be a pretty close fight. I wouldn't be surprised if it goes split, but I don't think it's going to go split. I think it's going to be very the last 2 rounds are going to be very obvious to who's winning the fight. So give me Ľudovít Klein to win rounds 2 and 3 and win by 29-28 unanimous decision. Next fight we got Brad Katona versus Jesse Butler. Brad Katona. Let's go over the odds for that fight that I just... Okay, Ľudovít Klein is a minus 131 and Thiago Moisés is a plus 103. So if you want some plus money on Thiago Moisés, that's not bad. But Ľudovít Klein, if you're going to take him right now. And I would take the over 2.5 as well. If you can see it right here, over 2.5 is a minus 204, so it's not that bad. Jesse Butler versus Brad Katona. Jesse Butler with a record of 12-5-0. He lost his last 1 out of his last 5 to Jim Miller by KO. And Brad Katona has lost his last 1 out of his last 5 to Garrett Armfield, who is a beast. No shame in that. Canada, 32 years old. Bantam. It says 136 here, but it's gonna be at lightweight. 5'6" to 5'10". Let me just make sure. 64-inch reach to 63. Majority Tapology has Brad Katona. Let me just make sure what weight class is going to be at. Just really quick. Bantamweight division, yeah, so it is going to be the bantamweight division. It's just that these guys come in pretty heavy. Jesse Butler is a beast, but I think Brad Katona, Superman, he's going to learn a lot from his last fight to Garrett Armfield. He lost by unanimous decision. He could have won that fight, and he had potential to win that fight. It's just that Garrett Armfield is just better, and he was able to grind out a decision and beat Brad Katona unanimously. And it's crazy because Brad Katona needs that type of loss in order to get this type of win against Jesse Butler. Jesse Butler is going to be a guy who's just going to scrap with him. He's just going to want to scrap. And he might want to mix in a little bit of takedowns, but I don't see that happening at all. I think this is going over 1.5 definitely. I think this goes the distance. But I think Brad Katona has very, very obvious moments that lead him to win this fight. And I think his boxing is going to be on point this fight. I know he's very new to the UFC. And this is his 3rd fight in the UFC. He won against Cody Gibson, lost against Garrett Armfield, and now we're going to see where he's at. Against a guy who is his 2nd fight in the UFC. So I have more confidence in Brad Katona than I do against Jesse Butler. I don't really think Jesse Butler is that good. Give me Brad Katona to win this fight by unanimous decision. 29-28, maybe even 30-27. Let's go over the odds really quick. It's just harder to fight. It's harder to find the odds here. Brad Katona is a minus 575. You can use him as a parlay piece, but be careful with Brad Katona because he can be a parlay buster, just like Alex Moreno. Next fight, we have Cody Stamann versus Taylor Lapilus. Taylor Lapilus is a beast with a record of 19-4-0, coming from France. What's his gym? MMA Factory, so we know that's a great gym. On the other side, we have Cody Stamann, who trains at Extreme Couture. Sean Strickland, Chris Curtis is there. A bunch of great fighters are there. Roman Dolidze is there as well. Bantamweight division, bantamweight fight. Cody Stamann with a record of 21-6-1. He has 3 losses out of his last 5 to Douglas Silva, Deandre Raj, Said Nurmagomedov, Merab Devashvili, and he won 2 to Eddie Wineland and Luan Lacerda. Guys, Taylor Lapilus has a little bit of a better last 5 wins, but he's just inactive. Marcos Breno, Willis Reese, Colin Lauren, that's the guy who is kind of like Irish, and then Farid Barashat, who got his first loss to the Ariel Helwani lookalike. So Taylor Lapilus put up a great fight against Farid Bashiat, but he lost by decision unanimous. He last fought 4 months ago. Cody Stamann last fought 1 year ago. So the inactivity and the ring rust, we have to pay attention to that. Taylor Lapilus, 32 years old, the younger fighter. He will be faster in my opinion. Bantamweight division, 5'6" to 5'6", 64-inch reach to 73. Taylor Lapilus has a longer reach. He can stay on the outside. Cody Stamann's going to try to take him down. I think Taylor Lapilus can win this fight. I think he's going to be, stronger on the outside. I think he's going to be better on the inside, better footwork, and I think he's going to overall control this fight completely, and I think he's going to win every single round. I think Cody Stamann is going to be able to take him down one time, but Taylor Lapilus gets right back up, and he's not going to get finished. I don't see a guy like Taylor Lapilus getting finished. Give me Taylor Lapilus to win this, and I think he finishes Cody Stamann. Give me I don't know, inside the distance, but late finish. So give me him to win this inside the distance or by unanimous decision, double chance. Lapilus, a lot of people have him by decision, but if Cody Stamann makes a lot of mistakes and gasses, we can definitely see a third round finish. Give me Taylor Lapilus to win this by decision or inside the distance, double chance. Definitely going over 1.5 though if you want a very solid piece. Over 1.5 is way more confident. I'm way more confident in that than inside the distance. And if you want to get a little fancy, you could go over 2.5. Next fight we have Puja Tomar versus Rayanne Amanda, or she has another name as well, Dos Santos. Puja Tomar is the first Indian woman fighter in the UFC. She's from Southeast Asia, and she's going to be making her UFC debut. She comes from MFN, and she's had a pretty good 4-fight win streak in order to make herself into the UFC and make her UFC debut. Rayanne Amanda has a record of 14-7-0. She's a veteran when it comes to UFC. She lost her last fight by decision split to Tatiana Talita, and then she won. Okay, never mind. She's not a veteran. She had a debut 5 months ago, but she fought on Dana White's Contender Series against Denise Gomes, and she got she lost by decision. But that's why I consider her a veteran, because she's been in and outside of the UFC. She's fought in the Contender Series. Puja is a little bit more newer to the UFC. She's making her UFC debut. She's 30 years old. Strawweight division 5-1. Her reach isn't even there yet. But when we look at the odds of this fight, hang on. Okay, because I didn't look at the odds for the Taylor Lapilus fight as well. But when we look at Taylor Lapilus, I consider him to be the favorite as well. Minus 200, and then plus 155 for Cody Stamann. And then for this one, Tomar is a plus 178 making her UFC debut, and Dos Santos Rayanne Amanda is a minus 234. I don't know if this is just because I know Amanda has better experience, and she's probably going to be able to take her down. But I'm going to go Puja Tomar, just because she's a striker. She has to just deal with the takedowns of Rayanne Amanda. But this is more of a little bit of a biased pick, because I like Puja Tomar, and I like the idea of getting new regional fighters from around the world. And I know this is biased because Rayanne Amanda, she's put up 3 wins in between, and by decision, this fight definitely goes decision in my opinion. But when we have a finisher like her, and I know they've been regional, and we don't know how good those opponents are, they're probably not nowhere as good as Rayanne Amanda's opponents who she's fought. But I think when we put up a girl who's coming from India, making her UFC debut, I know she's the dog. I'm gonna take her, and this is a very, very, very low confident pick. But it's because I want to see Indian fighters win, and I want to see people from around the world, from new regions that we've never seen, making their UFC debut. So hopefully we can have a successful debut for Puja Tomar. But don't trust me on that. If you want to go over 1.5, go for the over 1.5. I'm taking a little bit of a risk here, looking for the plus money. I just think Rayanne Amanda is not that good, and if Tomar is on point, she can beat her. She doesn't have to be that good. She can beat a girl like Rayanne Amanda. So give me Tomar to win this by unanimous decision, 29-28. I think she loses the first round, and maybe she wins the last 2. But be careful betting on the women fights. I'm not betting on that. I'm just watching that for fun. I like Tomar, and I want her to have a successful debut. Let's go. Up the card, Eduarda Moura versus Denise Gomes. Eduarda, I've never seen that name for a girl, because usually it's Edward, and Eduarda is kind of weird, but fuck it. Versus Denise Gomes. Denise Gomes got taken down a bunch of times by Angela Hill in her last fight. And Eduarda has taken down Olympic champions. She took down an Olympic champion 3 times. She made her Dana White Contender Series. She had a successful Dana White Contender Series by submission against Giniana Silva and Mastorat Senojo Ruiz. She beat by KO in her UFC debut. So this is going to be her second fight in the UFC. Her opponent is a veteran in the UFC. She's been from Dana White Contender Series 4 fights after Denise Gomes. But when you lose to Angela Hill by takedowns and you're getting taken down, I know Angela Hill just beat Luana, but Angela Hill's not that good. I think Eduarda has a very good record, 10-0. She's pretty good. She looks like she's going to be a prospect. She comes from Salvador, Brazil. And then her opponent's from Las Vegas, Nevada. 24 years old to 30. I think the experience will be on her end. And strawweight division, 5'6". She's the taller fighter. She has the longer reach. Give me Eduarda Moura to win this by decision. 30-27, 30-27, 30-27. It's going to be a great fight, guys. Let's look at the odds for this fight. Sorry if I didn't show the odds that fast for the other fights. I'm just now looking at this for my bookie, so sometimes I forget to look at the odds. Eduarda Moura is a -178. Her opponent, Denise Gomes, is a +138. Give me Eduarda Moura. I hate betting on women fights, but I will be betting on this fight. I got Eduarda Moura as a parlay piece, and I think it goes the distance, so give me her to win by decision on points. Money line. Opening up the main card, we got Raul Rosas Jr. versus Ricky Turcios. This is going to be a great fight. Raul versus Jr. This is a how do you say, this fight was canceled and then it happened again. So this was on the Yair Rodriguez and Brian Ortega card, and Raul versus Jr. was supposed to fight there, but he ended up having like a stomach ache or something happened, and he pulled out like right before, 5 minutes before his fight. And Ricky Turcios was considering himself a winner, and he had a little Coca-Cola, and he said, I won that fight, even though the fight never happened. But I'm glad that they rescheduled this fight and that this fight is happening. 19 years old for Raul Rosas Jr., very young. Let's just look at the odds very quick. You know Raul Rosas Jr. is going to be a heavy favorite when it comes to this guy. This guy's a prospect. Many people believed in him until they saw him fight C-Rod, who's this guy just beats prospects. He's the prospect killer, C-Rod. Raul Rosas Jr. is a -260. If you're going to take Raul Rosas Jr., take him right now, because I think he beats Ricky Turcios. I think a guy like C-Rod, who Christian Rodriguez basically, who beat Raul Rosas Jr. He beat him by unanimous decision, but a guy like C-Rod has beaten people very, very, very good. He's beaten people. Let's go to Christian Rodriguez. We can go to his record just to go to Christian Rodriguez. He's beaten people very, very good. Right here. You go to Christian Rodriguez's record. He's beaten people as he has a fight against Juliana Rosa. He's beaten Isaac Dulgarian, Cameron Saman, and Raul Rosas Jr., Joshua Weems. So no shame in losing to a guy like C-Rod. C-Rod is a prospect killer. Raul Rosas Jr. has his only loss is against Christian Rodriguez, and then another one with grappling. He lost by a choke, but that's a grappling, so it doesn't count on the UFC record. So his only loss on his record is against a prospect killer, C-Rod, who fights one division higher at 145. So there's no shame in losing to a guy like C-Rod. C-Rod is a beast. And I think C-Rod were to beat a guy like Ricky Turcios. And I haven't really gotten to Ricky Turcios. He has a record of 12-3-0. He's not that active. 5 years ago was his last fight. Five fights ago. And then 4 years right here. 2 years in between. 1 year. 1 year. So it'll be 1 year and 6 months since his last fight. And that has to do with, Raul Rosas Jr. pulling out. But I think the ring rust is going to be more detrimental to him. And I think Raul Rosas Jr. can win this by finish. I think he can finish Ricky Turcios by submission. I think he can submit him in the second or third round, and I definitely think that he can definitely get a finish inside the distance. But I wouldn't be surprised if he wins by unanimous decision. Majority of Tapology has him to win by decision. Some people have him to win by submission. Give me Raul Rosas Jr. to win this fight by submission, by second or third round submission, rear naked choke. Jailton Almeida, I should have went Jailton Almeida by submission because that was one of the only finishes on UFC 302. Next fight on the main card, we got Punahele Soriano versus Miguel Baeza. When we look at the odds on these fight, I should break down the odds immediately. I should break down the odds. So from now on, I'm going to break down the fight odds prior. So -155, -159 for Miguel Baeza. There's a lot of close odds on this fight. This entire card has a lot of close odds, but it's because a lot of people don't know what's going to happen. Miguel Baeza has a record. He's -159, but he's lost his last 3. So that's very scary. Both of these guys are not on the peak and pinnacle of their career. Miguel Baeza has a record of 10-3-0, and his opponent Soriano has a record of 9-4-0. Look at when you see all this red and one green, that looks bad. I don't care. Like, just pretend I'm a casual. Look. You see red, 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 green, red, red. Bro, immediately, red flag. Miguel Baeza, but obviously, they're very good, and he's in the UFC. He's in the hardest organization in the whole entire world when it comes to cage fighting. So, no shame in losing to a guy like Roman Kopylov, and no shame. I mean, Dustin Stolcevic. I don't know who the fuck that guy is. Call me a casual. I mean, I know who he is, but he's not that good. You know what I'm saying? Miguel Baeza has lost to pretty good people. I thought Miguel Baeza was going to be a guy who was going to be up the rankings like Chaos Williams, but Chaos Williams ended up putting his lights out. He lost to Santiago Ponzinibbio by decision, first loss in his UFC. Then he lost to Chaos Williams by KO. Really bad loss by KO 2 years and 6 months ago. And then he lost by KO again to Andre Fiallo, who Andre Fiallo has been KO'd time and time again by Jake Matthews, by everybody. Andre Fiallo got cut from the UFC, fought in a different organization, and got knocked out there as well. So give me Miguel Baeza to win this fight. I know I just said that this guy just got knocked out 3 times. But his opponent is not that good either. This is going to be one of those crazy fights where you're like, why is this fight on the main card? But it's because somebody might get finished in this card. I got Miguel Baeza, and I think let's talk about their gyms. MMA Masters for Miguel Baeza and Extreme Couture. That's the only thing that is on Soriano's favorite side. He trains at Extreme Couture, very good gym. Shane Strickland trains there. If you're in the likelihood of Shane Strickland, you're most likely going to get better. 72-inch reach to 74. I just think Miguel Baeza, other than his chin, he's very accurate and he's very technical. He's more technical. He's the younger fighter. He should be the faster fighter, and he should be the fighter that can capitalize with his quick reflexes and his leg kicks. He had very good leg kicks. He has very good kicks to the legs, but he was doing good against Chaos Williams until he got caught. And maybe his chin could be completely gone, but I'll take him. And I don't recommend anybody else to take this fight, or choose a fighter on this fight. You might want to go fight doesn't go decision, but I'll take Miguel Baeza. And majority of Tapology has him to win by KO. And 23% has him to win by decision. I'm gonna go Miguel Baeza by KO. So give me Miguel Baeza to win this by KO in the second round. I'm not confident though. I'm not confident. Anybody who's confident on these fights, guys, they're lying to you, because mostly every single fight on this card is very, very close. We have a lot of close odds, and we have a lot of odds that might grow or they might decrease within the week as the week goes on. So take advantage of what you got now, because Miguel at a minus 158, he might end up losing. Who's to say that this guy's going to win at a minus 158 who's got knocked out 2 times out of his last 3 losses? But at a minus 158, it's not that bad. Bruno Ferreira versus Dustin Stoltzfus. This is the guy who just beat Soriano. Dustin Stoltzfus has won his last 2 out of his last 5. He's lost 3 to Rodolfo Vieira, Gerald Mearshart, and Abus Magomedov by KO. He has a record of 15-5-0. His opponent, Bruno Ferreira, the Hulk, has a record of 11-1-0. With that one loss comes to Nazartin Ruziboev, who just lost to Joaquin Buckley. When we look at the odds for this fight, it should be down here. Bruno Ferreira is a minus 280. One of the most confident on the bookies, one of the most confident picks for the bookies, plus 210 for Dustin. It's crazy because when your name is Dustin, you're always a dog. Bruno Ferreira has a record of, 31 years old, 32, middleweight division, 5'10", 6'0", 72-inch reach, 75. Bruno Ferreira has more solid competition. This is his, he made his Dana White Contender Series, and then he made his debut, lost his second fight in the UFC by KO, and then beat Phil Hawes by KO. I saw that fight. That fight actually ended up leading to Phil Hawes getting cut by the UFC. Flying knee and punches. So Bruno Ferreira is a beast, man. If Bruno Ferreira is going to win, he's a finisher. He's a mauler. He's going to finish you. He's going to try his best to finish you. He's going to try his best to win the fight. Guys, give me Bruno Ferreira to win this by KO. I'm going to go first or second round KO. 94% of Tapology has him to win by KO. But it's not just because of his record. It's because of who he's fighting. His opponent has been KO'd time and time again. Submission, but he's been KO'd brutally by Abus Magomedov. And he doesn't look that consistent. When it comes to a guy like Dustin Stoltzfus, he's more on the tail end of his career. And not just to say that, but his boxing is not that good. I feel like Bruno Ferreira has better leg kicks. He's better at cutting off the distance, and he's better at putting pressure. And a guy like Dustin doesn't deal that well with pressure. So give me Bruno Ferreira to win this by KO, first or second round. Up the card, we got Juliana Marquez versus Zach Reese. Juliana Marquez is the guy who called Miley Cyrus out. He was like, Miley Cyrus, you want to go on a date? I think. Yeah, I think that was him. Yeah. Zach Reese, the Savage, the Cuban Missile Crisis versus the Savage Zach Reese, 9-4-0 for the Cuban Missile Crisis. He's lost to Gregory Rodriguez by KO brutally and Mark Andrew Barriat by KO, standing TKO. Then he lost to Aliso Di Chirico by decision split. He beat, I don't know who the fuck that guy is, and he beat Sam Alvey, who's no longer in the UFC. Zach Reese has a better record overall. He fought on Dana White Contender Series, and then he lost his UFC debut to Cody Brundage by KO, slam and punches. He got slammed. It's because he's a jiu-jitsu nerd. This guy likes to spend time on the ground, and he likes to try to go for an arm bar and try to instead of standing up. So a guy like Cody Brundage just picked him up and slammed him on his head. So Zach Reese is a little bit of a jiu-jitsu nerd. If Julian Marquez takes him down, he's gonna try to go for an arm triangle. He's gonna try to go for he's trying to go for submissions, off of his back, different type of submissions. I just couldn't think of a different type of submission for some reason off of your back, like an arm bar. Julian Marquez from Las Vegas, Nevada, 34 years old. Let's look at the odds for this fight. I just want to make sure that okay. Juliana Marquez, the odds, Juliana Marquez is a -116, so he's actually the favorite against Zach Reese. But that's interesting because I'm going to be favoring Zach Reese to win this fight. I think Zach Reese can win this fight, and I think he's a good dog. I think the only thing that a lot of people think is that since he got KO'd by Cody Brundage, who sucks, a lot of people are going to be like, let me just go Julian Marquez. But Julian Marquez is not that good, and if a guy is going to get cut from the UFC, it's going to be the loser of this fight. So give me Zach Reese. I don't know how this fight looks if it gets to the ground. I would prefer Zach Reese to get right back up and then just keep on fighting, because sometimes him being a jiu-jitsu nerd is detrimental towards him. Julian Marquez is beatable, but that doesn't mean he can't win. I'm not going to just completely discount Julian Marquez, but I think Zach Reese is better all around. I think he's better on the ground. I think he's better striking, and I think he's better at cutting off the cage. I think when it comes to fighters, going back and forth and, the momentum switching back and forth, I think a guy like Zach Reese can definitely capitalize off of Julian Marquez's mistakes. His striking is sloppy. Julian Marquez has the leg kicks, but I think Zach Reese is faster and he's younger. So give me Zach Reese to win this by decision. 29-28, maybe 30-27. It's going to be a great fight. I just think that Raul Rosas Jr. should have been in this position instead of opening up the main card, but, it's okay. Co-main event, we got Dominic Reyes, the Destroyer, versus Dustin Jacoby. This is a great fight, guys. This is already the co-main event. A lot of people are going to say that this card is lackluster, but these cards end up showing up. When people think, this card's going to be shit, it ends up showing up and it ends up putting up a great fight. Dominic Reyes versus Dustin Jacoby. Dominic Reyes has lost his last 4 out of his last 5. Let's just see the odds for this fight. Let's just see the... Bro. Dominic Reyes is a +178. Dustin Jacoby is a -234 as the favorite, bro. Bro, this is going to be crazy. Dominic Reyes, the Devastator. Last fight was in 2022. Hasn't fought in a year and 6 months. Very, very, very sad career for him because... he might get cut from the UFC if he loses. But we never know. It might be even sadder if he stays in the UFC and he keeps getting knocked out. He's gotten knocked out. He lost to John Jones by decision 4 years and 3 months ago. Jan Blachowicz, he lost by KO. It was for the belt after Jones vacated. Yuri Prochazka, he lost by KO, spinning elbow. And then Ryan Spann. In my opinion, all of these guys that beat Dominic Reyes beat Dustin Jacoby. It's just that we have to question whether Dominic Reyes' chin is still there. Dustin Jacoby has lost his last 3 out of his last 5 to Khalil Rountree by split decision, which is pretty impressive because Khalil Rountree has power. He lost to Azmat by decision unanimous, and he lost to Alonzo Mendenfield by decision unanimous. And then he beat Dang Ung Jong and then Kennedy Njeku by KO. Kennedy Njeku sucks, though, in my opinion. 12-4-0 for Dominic Reyes, 19-8-1 for Dustin Jacoby. Bro, Dustin Jacoby at a minus 234 is insane in my opinion. I don't think he should ever be a minus 234. 77-inch reach, 76. If I scroll down, I know the majority is going to be on Tapology. I know the majority picks of Tapology is going to be on Dustin Jacoby. I just think that when it comes to actual cage fighting and who's faster, who's more of a technician, other than the chin. Take out the chin. Just take out the chin. Forget about the chin. When it comes to just these guys, I mean, you can't forget about the chin, though. There's no way you can forget about the chin because Dustin Jacoby could just put his lights out at any moment. I think Dominic Reyes is going to win this fight. And I hate to pick a dog like this, and I hate to, go like this, and people are like, did I just watch 35 minutes of this, and this guy just picked Dominic Reyes? I know it sounds weird. And I know, this could age very, very bad. But I'm going Dominic the Devastator Reyes just because I think he's better than Dustin Jacoby besides the chin. And I know even if he gets dropped, he should be able to come back. But we have never seen him come back after getting dropped. But these guys are very, very heavy power punchers. And I think all four of these guys beat Dustin Jacoby. It's just that the 4-loss skid, you can't be a favorite. There's no way you could be a favorite coming back against Dustin Jacoby. I just think this is a favorable fight against him. He's the taller fighter. He has the longer reach. I think if he doesn't get touched this fight, he can do good. And I think this fight goes all 15 minutes. I know some people are going to say that this fight ends by KO. Or this fight definitely, has a definitive answer. Oh, Dustin Jacoby by KO. I think Dustin Jacoby could win this by decision. Or Dominic Reyes can win this by decision. I'm not confident in this fight. This is my least confident pick of the entire card. I'm going Dominic Reyes. And I think he's going to have the little side kick, the oblique kick. I think he's going to have that. I think he's going to have the nice 1-2. He has very good uppercuts. He was doing pretty good against Rayanne Spann until he got, put on skates. And then after he's put on skates, that's when you're like, oh, he's going to get finished. But I think a guy like Dominic Reyes should be able to win this fight. And I think he should be able to win this fight by unanimous decision. 29-28. And it might be even split if Dominic Reyes gets dropped in the first round. But I got Dominic Reyes. I think he's a way better fighter. And I'm not just going off of, oh, he did good against John Jones. Oh, he did good against Jan Blachowicz, which he didn't. He got KO'd by Jan Blachowicz. He got KO'd by Yuri Prochazka, but he was doing very good against Yuri Prochazka. In my opinion, it was a competitive fight against Yuri Prochazka. The most competitive fight out of all of his losses. And if he can have some success against Yuri Prochazka and then get caught in the third round, I think it was third or second round, I think a guy like Dominic Reyes could definitely beat a guy like Dustin Jacoby and capitalize on Dustin Jacoby's sloppy striking. Let's be real. I think Dominic Reyes is a better striker overall. Majority has Dustin Jacoby to win by KO. Give me Dominic Reyes to win this by decision. I know a lot of people are going to not like this pick, but in a card like this, some dogs are going to win. And you don't make money picking favorites. You make money picking the dogs. So give me Dominic Reyes, least confident pick out of this entire card, at a plus 178 to win this fight. Unanimous decision. I hope he gets a KO, but let's not go too crazy. Let's go Dominic Reyes by decision. That's going to be crazy, bro. I just can't wait to see Dominic Reyes fight, man. And a lot of people are going to call me biased, but I don't want him to get cut from the UFC, I want to see him fight one more time. Even if he loses this fight, I want to see him fight one more time. Jared Cannonier versus Nassourdine Imavov. Definitely go with the over 1.5. I don't think Dustin Jacoby's going to KO him in the first 7 minutes. We'll see. If he does, he does. Jared Cannonier versus Nassourdine Imavov. Russian Sniper versus Killer Gorilla. Guys, did you guys see Marvin Vettori versus Jared Cannonier? Did you guys see that? Because I think that performance was a little sus. A guy who's 40 years old beat Marvin Vettori in 5 rounds. Obviously, power's the last thing to go. But he looked really good against Marvin Vettori. He beat Shane Strickland by split decision. I thought Shane Strickland won that fight. But you could say, you can give it to Jared Cannonier. He lost to Israel Adesanya decision, beat Derek Brunson, and then beat Kelvin Gastelum. Very good record. 1 loss in his last 5, and that's to the former champion Izzy. Nassourdine Imavov lost to Shane Strickland decision, It's kind of funny because they both went to decision, and they both, you can kind of get a little bit out of, watching both of them compete against Strickland and see, you know, what their habits are. Jared Cannonier has a very, very good right hand, man. He has power, and that was the determining factor against Strickland. That is what made it a little bit more competitive and made Strickland leak a little bit. So, in my opinion, Jared Cannonier was more competitive with Strickland than Nassourdine Imavov. That's kind of obvious. He had a no contest against Chris Curtis, accidental head clash. Chris Curtis always has head clashes because of the way he fights. He had a head clash against Kelvin Gastelum because of the way he fights and his head movement and the way he ends up going inside the pocket. So that's no shame in that. He was winning that fight against Chris Curtis, in my opinion. And you know how it is. Oh, my head. Oh, I can't continue no more. Oh, you know what? That's it. No contest. Roman Dolidze, he beat by decision. Unanimously. 28 years old to 40. Alaska versus France. With a let's break down the records. 13-4-0 for Nassourdine Imavov, 17-6-0 for Jared Cannonier, 5'11 to 6'3, middleweight division, 77 to 75. I like the middleweight division right now. I think the middleweight division is very exciting. But when you look at the odds for this fight, Jared Cannonier plus 111, minus 141 for Nassourdine Imavov. Jared Cannonier is a great dog. He's a guy who could definitely win this fight by unanimous decision. Definitely drop Nassourdine Imavov. He has very good power in his hands. But I think the Russian sniper is going to be too clean. I think he's going to be too fast for him. I just think that the only thing that worries me is his performance against Jared Cannonier, his performance against Marvin Vettori. That was a very good performance. And if that same Jared Cannonier comes and fights the one that fought Marvin Vettori, puts up the same performance against Nassourdine Imavov, he could definitely make this fight competitive, and this could definitely go all 5 rounds. I think somebody gets finished in this fight, though. But I wouldn't be surprised if it goes decision. I think Nassourdine Imavov is better. His footwork is amazing. He's a Dagestani who is a striker. He's not going to shoot on Jared Cannonier. He's going to want to strike with Jared Cannonier. It's going to be a fun fight, fun main event for Louisville. And I think Nassourdine Imavov is going to be too quick, too fast for him. And his footwork is going to be the determining factor. I said in UFC 302, I said Islam Makhachev has some lazy double legs. He has very good inside trips. He has very good body locks. But his double legs, when he's gassed, are a little bit lazy, and we saw that in the fight against Dustin Poirier. Nassourdine Imavov, he can get a little sloppy when he gets tired. We saw that against Strickland. He gets very sloppy, and a guy like Jared Cannonier can definitely capitalize on it. But when you're just striking and putting a masterclass on Jared Cannonier, he tends to stay frozen. And sometimes if you don't let Jared Cannonier go, he's not gonna go. And if you're picking at him, leg kick, high kick, making him question, making him always, question everything. I thought with Izzy he fought scared. I thought with Izzy he was like content with losing a decision instead of trying to knock Izzy out. He'd rather lose by decision than get knocked out and risk winning. And a lot of people are too content with that. A guy like Izzy, he'd rather lose by decision to Strickland than get knocked out and risk winning. And a guy like Jared Cannonier would be okay with losing by decision rather than losing by KO. So he's not going to take the risk that a guy like Nassourdine Imavov would take to win this fight. I think he's younger. I think he's hungrier. And I think Nassourdine Imavov, other than that Strickland loss, he should come to his own and he should climb up the rankings in the middleweight division. I think he matches up very well against a lot of the middleweight contenders and the top 10. And if a guy like Roman Dolidze can give a guy like Marvin Vettori a good fight, let's see how Nassourdine Imavov does with Jared Cannonier. He trains at the MMA Factory versus the MMA Lab. Very good gyms. I'm going to go Nassourdine Imavov by decision. A lot of people have by KO, but I don't think Nassourdine Imavov is going to be able to KO a guy like Jared Cannonier. He has a very strong chin, and I don't think Jared Cannonier has been KO'd in his entire career, if we actually look at it. Oh, okay, to Dominic Reyes, he's been finished. But Jan Blachowicz, he's lost by decision, unanimous, and then he lost to Glover Teixeira, and then Sean Jordan by punch. So he's got finished twice. But other than that, he hasn't gone finished. And that was very early in his career. Me personally, I think Jared Cannonier has a very good record. And I think he's very underrated in this division. At 40 years old, he's a very good dog at plus 111. But especially him being, I saw somebody in the comment section of We Want Picks. They said, when it comes to betting against, let me read this. It says, my mind says Imavov, put this week's rent on it. And then it says, but my heart knows betting against a bigger, blacker fighter in a fist fight almost never pans out. That's the only thing that you gotta worry about when you're fighting Jared Cannonier. You gotta worry about that big power, bro. That power that, like, some random ass shot that could just, oh my god, Nassourdine Imavov was knocked down. Oh my god, it could change the whole trajectory of the fight. I got Nassourdine Imavov to win this by decision, unanimous. I think it's going to be a fun fight. I think Jared Cannonier is going to have some moments, and I think he wins 2 rounds out of the 3. Give me Nassourdine Imavov to win this by 49-46, 48-47, and 48-47. Unanimous decision. Guys, if you guys liked the video, drop a like. And give me Nassourdine Imavov at a -141. Might as well take him right now, guys, before the odds grow bigger and something happens, or we look at the scales and we wait too long. Take him at a money line. You know, who am I? But this fight definitely goes over 1.5. And I think he moves to a record of 14-4-0. And I think after this fight, I think we should start talking about him, fighting more higher in the rankings. I think we should give him a good fight next. Whoever it is, whoever's open in the middleweight division, I would like to see it. Paulo Costa, we should give Nassourdine, the winner of this should fight Paulo Costa. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe somebody a little bit higher, but we'll see. Nassourdine Imavov, good luck, my brother. I'm on your side. Let's go, Nassourdine Imavov. 49-46, 48-47, 48-47. Comment your favorite dog. Comment your most anticipated fight. And comment who you got. My favorite fight on this entire card, guys. My favorite fight is the Charles Radtke versus Carlos Prates. And you guys know who I went with that. But that is a pick'em. Anybody can win. There's a lot of fights that are pick'em on this fight, guys. Enjoy the fights, guys. And let me know what you guys think, guys. Thank you guys for watching, guys. I'll see you guys in the next one. Long video this time. Drop a like. Let's get it. Peace. Hey.